What's happening, YouTube? Anthony on Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film with a brand new PRLostGalaxy2014 review. And today we are taking a look at Hasbro's Power Rangers Lightning Collection SPD Yellow Ranger B Squad with Elizabeth Z. Delgado herself. And she was the final SPD Ranger Hasbro ever did. Even though, since, you know, as of this recording, 2025 is Power Rangers SPD's 20th anniversary, and I figured for the 20th anniversary of Power Rangers SPD, take a look at what was released back 2 years, you know, back in track to 2023, when Power Rangers was in its 30th anniversary, when Hasbro did said that we're going to finish up certain teams in 2023, with uncertainty of them, you know, of course, starting Ranger teams that we were promised to get, and also for continuation. But unfortunately, you know how Hasbro was with the Lightning Collection and putting everything to a complete screeching halt after Cosmic Fury put an entire end to everything. Now, when I ordered my SPD Yellow Ranger on Amazon, I was supposed to get Yellow SPD, but I ended up getting, for some reason, RPM Ranger Yellow, which I'll look into later. Yes, I do have Summer, by the way, folks. I will do her review later in the, you know, whenever I have the chance. So, I've been wanting to get my hands on SPD Yellow because, you know, given my personal history with SPD, back 20 years ago when SPD was out, they was the last Power Ranger series that I was collecting some action figures of fully, but them and Dino Thunder, I just wasn't, well, back then, knowing SPD is still a solid season 20 years later, but it's just from my personal perspective and personal experience, I didn't have a lot of SPD figures growing up, and I think what made me give up collecting some Power Ranger stuff was that starting with SPD, female Ranger figures were getting scarce, and even though I've already managed to get a hold of SPD Pink in the Lightning Collection nowadays, but SPD Yellow, she was hard to get, because not only that, SPD Yellow in the Lightning Collection was a GameStop exclusive alongside Lost Galaxy Yellow, when, you know, knowing the fact we had to get 2 Yellow Rangers to finish up certain Ranger teams. And I don't understand why that Hasbro decided to have SPD Yellow and Lost Galaxy Yellow GameStop exclusives. I just will never understand. And knowing anytime there's some figures I really want and they end up being GameStop exclusive, GameStop, some of the time, they're only there for a limited time, and depending on how many quantity of them and who's selling. But, you know, knowing again, this is one of the reasons why I hardly ever get GameStop exclusive anything for whether it be Power Rangers, Transformers, G.I. Joe, Marvel, anything from Hasbro. But knowing it again, SPD Yellow was our last Ranger from the Lightning Collection, and again, after Yellow, if Hasbro had given a damn about Power Rangers more, if we had some Lightning Collection items in 2024, we could have gotten SPD Nova and SPD Cat, but unfortunately, no. And it really sucks. But anyway, so SPD Yellow is in, obviously, these windowless package boxes, and again, this is one of the reasons why the Lightning Collection is where it stopped at, is that when they did these boxes and not doing regular Lightning Collection boxes like SPD Green, yes, I got the buttery dude, folks, bridge will be after this video, but I just really hate that they did this packaging just to kill the Lightning Collection. And yeah, so even though if the front of the box is a little dinged up, I hope the figure is alright at least. So this is the packaging of how SPD Yellow looked, and on the side with that full render, helmet render on the bottom here, and then all the contents featuring a Z head, 2 interchangeable hands, a Lightning Collection, a Lightning effect piece, and her Delta Morpher, and a sidearm. So you have everything all in package with SPD Yellow B Squad, and so, without further ado, after griping about some things a little bit, I have no choice but to do this. SPD Emergency! Okay, now that SPD Yellow is out of the package, let's go over some accessories. Lightning effect pieces, same old, same old. It's, you know, one of those effect pieces you put on the sword and call it that, I guess, but where is this going to go? I mean, knowing these effects were not necessary for their weapons, because knowing SPD what is the point of that accessory when they're better off with that? But again, it makes sense. Power Rangers Lightning Collection, but it's the same old lightning effect piece I've seen every other time, so I don't want to go there. Then you got these Delta sidearm things that they always use. I'm trying to put this piece to the grip of the gun, this little, you know, this little baton pistol, you know, thing of theirs, and that the SPD Rangers always use. So, you know, yellow has hers, and then the full size baton sword of theirs. So nicely painted with the shades of black, yellow, and silver, with a little dab of red to the accessory. So you got that. Interchangeable hands. Well, you got two hands you can switch out. There's already two stock hands already onto the figure, so these hands will do in case. And then the SPD Yellow Ranger helmet. I don't know why this is the accessory when the civilian head of Z should be the accessory, and the helmet should have stayed on. I don't know why, starting with these batch of Lightning Collection figures they did at the time, but again, SPD's helmets pretty darn good, even though people may have complained about the silver trims on some of them, but at least SPD Yellow still has white trims around the visor of the helmet, so no complaints there. And then the Delta Morpher accessory, if there's any problems, any QCs on that, no, but the Delta Morpher's done well, so, and staying true, and even though it's just a little white block piece, you know, that's the Morpher. And then we take a look at the SPD Yellow Ranger figure with the Z head, and while it does look a lot like Monica May in the role of Z Delgado, but I mean, again, it's not by any means perfect, but it does look a little bit like that chick who plays, Lily, the AT&T girl. But no, it's definitely Monica May. But it just sometimes in some shots, the likeness can look a little bit like somebody else sometimes. But it still looks like her. But hey, I have a thing for Z, and she is still one of my favorite Yellow Rangers, so I had to get this to finish SPD and also add more to my Yellow Ranger collection. To take the Z head off, because these figures, yeah, I mean, again, your head should have been the accessory in that bag and should have put the helmet on just like all the other figures. So her civilian head can pop back on, and so is her Ranger head. So got to be careful putting the helmet on with that. So now we have the SPD Yellow Ranger fully together and morphed. But I did notice that the figure, since this is one of those many pinless jointed Lightning Collection figures, the joints are all over the place and just not right. I don't know what is going on with this figure, because this is probably one of the reasons why the Lightning Collection died. They just basically... This was just them in their final year, like, not giving a damn how the figure should go. And some parts just, I don't know. Yeah, and this had to break off. I thought I had it together, but... Okay, put this back on, I mean, you can tell I'm struggling, folks, but, to see how they really, really, really messed up on their final year of figures, like, and just putting a stop to things. It makes no sense, Forget it. Okay, so let's take a look at the Yellow Ranger in terms of the articulation points. So, as discussed, as I put the helmet on, you can turn the head around up and down and all. You have that. But there's a problem with this left arm. Like, as soon as I'm about to raise it, but I'm scared about to break it though. You can't raise the arms any direction you want, but you can't you got the butterfly joints on this, make it look like she, doing a bird pose and stuff. But again, she's not any bird themed ranger, so I don't know what's with that. Okay, so you got the hands, you turn the hands around since they're still in the joints. Elbow crunch is what do you expect for a female body mold of a Power Rangers Lightning figure from Hasbro. Just do that. Then you have this elbow crunch, and then bend the hand down to pose it. Okay. Then you have the legs to turn, the upper legs to turn over and around. Then the knee crunch, because again, these figures, I mean, I'm just scared to break them, because you know some of the joints are pretty stiff right now, and this leg looks like it's about to break, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to buy another figure, spend another $24 on it. Ankle pivot is pretty stiff on this. Like, what is going on? I mean, I was looking forward to this Yellow Ranger, and again, I've been looking forward to finishing up SPD, but I just don't understand what is with the stiff joints on Yellow. I just don't get it. And also, when I got her leg is a little bent. I don't see the point in that either. But I do really like the figure, but it's just, you got this bent knee. So this is yet another Lightning Collection, you know, Ranger that I got with a bent knee, because 5 years ago when I got Beast Morphers Red, it was the same thing. And now here I am 5 years later, we're living that little QC issue with the Ranger, you know, but this time it's a yellow one, not red, unlike 5 years earlier. And if you've seen my Beast Morphers Red Ranger review 5 years ago, if you haven't, I have complained about that issue. But nevertheless, I do like SPD Yellow in the Lightning Collection, now that the team is almost complete, for me at least. All I have to do is, oh yeah, she's about to fall, and she's not standing very well either because of the bad leg. And it's just the way how she's posed is all messed up and bow-legged. But other than that, I do like SPD Yellow in the Lightning Collection, and now that I have the two female Rangers from SPD, so to make up for not getting initial figures of of Pink and Yellow SPD back in the day, because female Ranger figures were getting harder to find, starting with that season back when Bandai was still doing the Power Ranger toys. But so now I have SPD Yellow and Pink in the collection, and I do have Shadow and Red already, even though I don't want to go into my other storage unit and get Red and Pink and Shadow right now. So it's best keep them in there until the team is done, and once I go over whoever else remaining from SPD, and there you go. So that's it for my review on the SPD Yellow Ranger in the Power Rangers Lightning Collection. So basically what weighed the figure down was some of the proportions and how the figure was packed, because this is again during that time when Hasbro was just about to give up. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe, drop a like, share this video with your friends, and I'll see you guys next time with a brand new review.